Welcome back into another episode of Rock Boys Football. This week, we've been kind of grinding some big games. We've talked about LSU, UCLA. We've talked about Georgia, Clemson. We've talked about Alabama, Miami. Those are some of the games that the national media is paying attention to. Some of the teams that my brother and I have watched a lot in the summer. That being said, there's a lot of other good games, and there's a lot of games where you can make some money this week. I think week one represents a lot of opportunity for Vegas really not to get a sense of how good certain teams are. I think we saw that last week with UCLA. They were a lot better of a team than people projected them to be. And now they're correcting it next week. But week one, we haven't seen anything from these guys. There's a lot of teams that are just undervalued. Dill, I'm going to kick it to you. Give us the first pick that you like. What do you got?
To start this off, I'm doing another moneyline dog, which is one of the – I just love doing it. It thrills me. You don't have to bet as much. You win a lot of money if you can hit them. But I think this Michigan State Northwestern game presents a very nice early season opportunity because Northwestern is just not a team that can afford to lose the vast majority of their starters, which they're doing. And they don't recruit like that. They need to be playing seniors experience. Like you want to see like 35 starts at their offensive line from each guy type. That's, I think, when you find Northwestern in their sweet spot. And that's just not them last year. They're losing like some legitimate NFL talent and Patty Fisher and the cornerback, Greg, is it North? What is it?
Newsom.
Yeah, Greg Newsom. So they're losing him. They're losing those two guys off of defense. That was the strength of their team last year. And I just don't see how they're going to replace them. Like those, that's just too much talent to lose.
I mean, Peyton Ramsey was like kind of the guy.
Yeah, he was really good. He was really good too. Ryan Helsinki's been bouncing around from team to team for a while now. So I don't have any faith that he's going to step in and now become a quarterback that's winning games for a football team. So I just think you have a decent little setup for a Michigan State upset.
Hunter Johnson, I'm right, the quarterback for them. So he was a Clemson.
It's going to be one of them. We'll see.
I'm not saying he's good, but I liked Northwestern 2 years ago because Hunter Johnson was transferring in, but he was horrible. He's not that good at football. I think you saw that Peyton Ramsey came in and took a job from him. I think Peyton, the loss, I think you're underrating how big of a loss that is. I mean, he made that offense just lack so much talent.
Because they didn't run the ball that well either last year, quite frankly.
But when you lack that much talent,
yeah,
like if you have a quarterback who can just make it happen a little bit, that's huge. That's what they kind of had, I think, in Peyton.
Yeah. And then the last thing is I think Michigan State, I don't love them this year. Of course, how could you? But I think they do have some real talent at wideout. I think Ricky White, he flashed as a true freshman last year. And then he's surrounded by Jaden Reed and Jalen Naylor, who both are really solid. So I think that combination, along with the fact that Northwestern's losing so much of their secondary, that actually was really good for Northwestern secondary. I think Rousseau gives Michigan State a chance. I think at least he's shown at times he can be a decent quarterback in college, far better than Rocky Lombardi, who I really did not think much of. And then just to round out that offense, they're keeping an offensive line intact and bringing in a transfer, Kenneth Walker from Wake Forest, who I think is a stud. So I don't know. It's just, when I look at this game, it seems like the prime upset time. I just don't love Northwestern as a program, and I just don't see them reloading it this year. So I do like this.
A little bit of value, just them going to Northwestern and play. I think this game should be close to even. They give me 2.5, 3 points for Michigan State on the road, and Northwestern's not historically that rock. I don't know. That's a little disrespectful, but I'm with you. I don't hate the pick. It's not my favorite pick, but I think it's gonna be a fun game. It's gonna be a good Big Ten.
Oh, you're not a big game hunter, so you don't like the dogs. I'm a dog guy. That's how I do it.
Those a dog guy. Yeah,
Dog guy picking Illinois. That was easy money.
He's actually, guys. He's literally going to be saying that weeks. He's going to be where he's going to lose every single bet, and then he's just going to talk.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, we'll see.
Anyways, I'm not disagreeing. I actually don't mind the pick. I'm not sold on Anthony Rousseau, whether it be is him or Peyton Thorne. I still don't know if they named one. That being said, like Michigan State, you've never required a good quarterback. You know what I mean? You're going to run the ball. Kenneth Walker is a great addition. They didn't run the ball that well last year, but they do get back all those guys on offense up front. Kenneth Walker's phenomenal. I watched every single one of his games last year. I'm a Wake Forest fan. He's really good. And they have some really good transfers coming over on the defensive side of the ball. Cravius Crouch, I think that's how you say his name. He was a guy Michigan wanted in I think the 2017 recruiting cycle. Really good athlete. I think he needs to learn how to play football a little bit better from what I've heard at Tennessee. He's going to start for them. Ben Van Sumeren's coming over from Michigan, who also is going to add some value. It's not a bad team on paper, and I think Mel Tucker has this team going in the right direction. And it's probably I agree with this pick. It's a product of me just being low on Northwestern. I don't think they're going to be very good.
That's mostly me. Wasn't taking this for some love of Michigan State. It's just, how is Northwestern going to replace like 10 plus starters in a given year? They don't recruit to do that. So that's kind of how I think about it.
Okay, let's move on. This is probably my favorite pick of the weekend. It's Duke -6 against Charlotte. Duke stinks. Like, I'm not saying they're a good team. They stink for the ACC at least. They played Charlotte as bad as Duke was last year. They played Charlotte and they beat them by, I think it was almost 30 points. It's -6. I mean, you're giving them they just need to win by a touchdown. If you just look at the recruiting classes, again, I don't mean to talk too much about talent, but at the end of the day, Duke's consistently bringing in like around the 50th recruiting class in the country. Charlotte's bringing in the 100th best recruit. It's night and day. That the Jimmies are just better than the Joes, and that's all I really need to know.
Mateo, because again, I'm with you. I know very little about Duke, and you just tell me trot them out like against Charlotte, like they should be getting at least 2 touchdowns, at least.
Yeah, I just think it's just a weird line. Again, it's gonna hurt to have to watch them. To be honest, I'd much rather be focusing on some other games, which I'm sure I'll be watching. But
you probably know pretty quick, though.
Money's green.
You'll just know if Duke can't score something, then like, damn it, this is unfortunate. But I just don't see it.
They'll be able to score on Charlotte. They have a really good Mateo Durant's a legit, really good running back. They're gonna feed him. It's just it
doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make any sense.
I feel as confident as I did with the UCLA pick. Like they're gonna smoke them. It's not gonna be close.
I feel way more confident than the UCLA. Way more confident.
Yeah, so that's Friday night. I think 7 p.m. Eastern time. So I got my Friday plans. Wake Forest also playing then, so I'll have to keep an eye out. But guys, look into it. Read a little bit about Duke. I'm not saying they're a good team, but they're better than Charlotte, and they're a lot better. All right, next, moving on. I like West Virginia -3 against Maryland. West Virginia is a good team. They returned their quarterback. They returned their running back, Letty Brown, who ran for 1,000 yards. Jarrett Doge, I think that's how you say his name, who was actually a very, very good quarterback. He'll be an all Big 12 guy for sure. I almost called him Big 10. That was horrible. He was
tough.
He'll be an all Big 12 guy. They return. I mean, outside of Tony Fields and Taki Smith, they return, which obviously are big losses. Very good linebacker, very good kind of safety guy in Taki Smith. They return the rest of their defense pretty much, and they return their whole offense pretty much. So they get a lot of guys. All their pass catchers are coming back. It's -3 against this is one of those teams. I like West Virginia. I'm higher on than consensus. But Maryland's they're not that good. I feel like everybody thinks Talia is like his brother, and he's just not. He's not.
The problem is he flashed hard against Mini before we knew how bad Mini was, like Minnesota was. So it's like point. They're getting like the Michigan treatment from last, and then they never played like more football. They played 5 games last year. He really wasn't that good in any of the other ones, but like you saw the flash against Minnesota. You're like, ooh, Minnesota, good team, beat Penn State the year before, so on.
Well, I thought I was duped by Minnesota too. Like I thought Minnesota was gonna be good last year. This is weird.
Yeah.
I still to this day can't explain what went wrong with that team.
I can't explain anything from the Big Ten last year, frankly. So it's like, but again, that's kind of how I think about it. And I actually do think like Laxey's moving the program in the right direction, but I don't think that's quite caught up because realistically they haven't really started recruiting at a particularly high level until really 2021, which is when they started to break into top 20 recruiting classes, but that just doesn't seem early enough for that type of team to quite be maybe ready to play and win big games, which they haven't in years, and they've been really sorry. So I like this pick too. West Virginia returning a lot of talent against a Maryland team that really is returning a bit on offense, but losing some linemen and not returning a whole lot on defense. So I like the pick. I think it's interesting. It's the style of game I like. Close money line. That's my sweet spot. So I'm with you here.
Yeah, I think Dylan, my brother, and I don't really love taking we took UCLA to cover 17, but it's not my favorite bet in the world just because the backdoor cover. You can be so right about a game and just get backdoor covered. It's horrible. Okay, those are kind of the picks we like, and there's some other games we can just brush by. We're not going to give out the picks just because we're only going to give you guys the picks that we really like and we think are locks. Those are probably the best picks. I'd probably separate Michigan State. I like that pick, but I don't like it as much as I like the West Virginia or Duke pick. Obviously, we gave out.
You're a square, man. You got to take a dog once in a while. Live on the edge one time. What are we just going to be Squareville taking freaking favorites exclusively to cover spreads?
No, this year. Just going to
clean it up.
Keep following my system. LSU minus 2.5 at UCLA. We gave that out last video in our game preview for that. Just a classic overcorrection by Vegas. UCLA is good, but LSU it shouldn't be 2.5. I think you should keep an eye on the UTSA Illinois game. Illinois looked decent against Nebraska. And UTSA I like. They got Sincere McCormick. They got a decent quarterback. I think his name's Frank Harris. But 5.5 points. I think Illinois could easily win this by a touchdown. I think they're just better up front, and when you're just better up front, I think it's easier to win the game and kind of play the game on your terms. So I think that's an interesting one. And I think that rounds it out. There's some good games. I think if Notre Dame's spread gets below a touchdown, I'd fire on that going to Florida State. I just think Florida State's a crap show right now. The Indiana-Iowa game, me and my brother have been arguing about this. I like Indiana plus 3.5 or just take the plus 150 money line. I like Indiana. I like what Tom Allen is doing with that program.
Out.
Iowa's a blue chip.
Iowa's you know what you're going to get out of Iowa. They're consistent. They're steady. They run the ball well. And Indiana just had one of those magic years that I don't think is repeatable. So I just see, if you ask any other year in the past 20 years, Iowa probably is a massive favorite. So I don't see 1 year switching around and now people thinking Indiana is like a real team. They still are Indiana. I do like Tom Allen, but I get like PJ Fleck vibes where it's like, how long can that LEO nonsense last before you need to?
Yeah, that's garbage. I'm pissed that you just said that.
What is it?
You say Leo. Come on.
I don't care about that. I don't do the gimmicks. I don't do that's cornball nonsense.
Hey, so the program somehow.
Yeah, you do it like Nick Saban. You just like with like confidence and power and intimidation, not this like
Nick Saban's actually. I want to model my leadership after him. He's sad. All right. Anyways, that'll do it before I start talking about me being.
I'd like to add one more. I think this is an easy one. He doesn't like it, but a little parlay action with Wisconsin and UNC. I just think UNC is like an absolute lock, and that 5.5 line actually makes no sense to me. So I almost think
it could be a pick we give out too.
I almost think you could take that on your own.
Yeah.
But I think if you parlay them in Wisconsin, who I think is very
parlay in the money line.
2 money line parlays, yeah. I think because then you're gonna get it. I think close to even if my math is correct, but I think you get that game even with 2 favorites that I think are under. Not UNC's not underrated. I think Virginia Tech is criminally overrated. Wisconsin's good. They're gonna I don't see how Sean Clifford moves the ball on Wisconsin. He's horrible. Wisconsin's gonna have an incredibly good defense, and I think that's actually a play. I think it's a fun one too, in all honesty. Like those are 2 games you want to watch.
Yeah, on Friday, I'd much rather be watching the UNC game.
Yeah, so I don't know. I love it personally, and I think it's fun one. Yeah, I know, but I would like to lead with
those
that.
Those are our picks for week 1. Honestly, just get eyeballs on the games. This is like what week 1's for. I mean, Texas is playing a really good Louisiana team. Obviously, get some eyeballs on Iowa playing Indiana. Get ready for that Iowa State matchup next week. Take a peek at Michigan. They get their even money at the Big House next week against Washington. So, yeah, just get a feel for what the teams are. Make sure you're watching with your own eyes. We will be, and we'll be letting you guys know. But once again, we appreciate you guys stopping by. Hopefully you guys follow the picks. We make some money this week, and then we're back at it next weekend with some more picks. Peace.